Let's get rich. We can't quit. Welcome to the first episode or the making of the Darth Trader TV show. This is the making. Let me have a seat here. Let me talk about this is raw, by the way. This is raw, uncut. So let me talk about why, first of all, why I decided to create this show because I'm looking at now. Well, actually, let me start with how I came up with the name. I was brainstorming names and I was watching a Star Wars series uh, on Disney Plus, and Andor, I think it was Andor, and that's when I came up with the name. It's a play on Darth Vader, so I thought that was so Darth Trader, and if I pull this up, let me pull this up. So I was thinking about doing a vlog, and I'm not really sure right now. I'm just brainstorming ideas. So that's why I call this the making of it. So I'm just gonna, post these, segments or these videos to show, you know, to record the progress from scratch. All right. So that's what I decided to do. But the other thing is man, when I was looking up, let me pull this up on I had put this in Chat GPT. And what I wanted to do was figure out I wanted to figure out the the characteristics that embodied uh, Darth Vader, right? Because one of the things that I figured that I learned about the Darth or Sith, let me make sure I pull it up because I want to read it from that. So the philosophy of the Sith in Star Wars says that they draw power from fear, anger, and passion. But unlike the Sith, who channel those forces destructively, we can harness our inner struggles for good, using them as raw energy to sharpen our focus, deepen our understanding, and fuel our evolution into our fullest potential. So that's why I came up when I was brainstorming it, ideas for the name. I was like, yo, I like that because I decided to. After I took a leave of absence from my software engineering job, and I was making a six-figure salary from there, but it was so mad stressful, like it was just crazy. The just the stuff that was going on. We went through a merger, and they had several what do you call it? Reorgs. They call them reorgs, where they reorganize, various parts of the organization, right? And man, they had several. First, they said it was just going to be like one or two, and then it ended up being like five. And this is even after I'm gone. They still continue to do more reorganizations. But through these reorganizations, they lay off a lot of people, but they just use the word reorganization as a more, you know, less traumatic uh, phrase to, cause people worry, right? So, because if people start panicking, then they lose productivity. So they not really. I don't know, man. It's crazy, but that's why I decided to look at what other forms of investing that I can look into. And because I was looking at real estate, early on in my, which is why I decided to become a software engineer so I could take the money from it and invest in real estate. And I've bought, a couple of properties before in the past. The thing about investing in real estate is the liquidity stage, right? So your money is tied up, for periods of time, and that could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, or longer. And so it takes longer for you to, liquidate, to, you know, liquidate that return on your investment. So I was looking at other opportunities, obviously, looking at investing in a business, and I was like, yeah, I could take that route, but uh, a business is going to take time. It could take 3 to 5 years just to get off the ground, and so your liquidity, I mean, your capital will be tied up for that period of time before you even experience a profitable year. And so um, I'm still exploring those areas. Like uh, I'm still investing in those areas, or researching those opportunities in those areas, I should say. And just in case something pops up that, that's a really good deal. But what I ended up doing is I had a friend, and he had approached me years ago, almost a decade ago. I'm 46 large now, so almost a decade ago, he had decided to jump off into day trading, and so that's when I first started, like, having uh, a personal introduction with someone close to me. Not that I never knew that it existed, because I had seen, people talking about it, but working as a software engineer, and I've been working as a software engineer for the past 10 years. And when I decided to take this path, I was pretty busy and locked in, focusing my attention on learning how to build software, right? How to, learn a software programming language, and, go that route. Because I saw how much money people was making. And I was like, I think this is a safe route for me. I love technology, so I might as well do that. So, but he started, and he was telling me about it, but he struggled a bit to kind of explain it to me. But my overall point is, that's when I got introduced to day trading. And I was waiting for him to become, because he was telling me, oh man, you can make X amount of money, this, that, and the third. And, I was waiting for him to kind of, make that transition and become successful as a day trader, so he could explain it to me, and then I could get started at that point, because I just didn't have the time to try to, jump into something new when I was already, had already chosen a path. So I was like, cool, I could go this route, he can go that route, and then I can also tap into that path, once he succeeds. It just so happened, he hasn't been able to, you know, capitalize, like, to experience a return, basically to become a profitable trader. And when fast forward till today, like I said, this was almost 10 years ago. So fast forward till today, I went on a leave of absence in 2024 or 2023, towards the end of 2023 into 2024, because I was on a leave of absence for like a year or a little over a year. And during this time, I was focusing on, my mental health and my physical health. And I was like, yo, my therapist was like, yo, it might be time for you to figure out something else to do. Maybe going back to, the job isn't the best, path forward. So that's when I decided to look and explore, like, well, what will I do? Like, I'm not going back to where I came from, like to work some warehouse job or fast food restaurant, because I've already done all those things. I've done the hard labor jobs and all of that stuff. Um, but physically and mentally, I just didn't feel like I had the capacity to go back into the 9 to 5 space. Like I need it mentally and physically. I just didn't have the capacity. So I was like, what can I do? Like, how can I make money? I thought about becoming a Lyft, or Uber driver because how flexible the schedule was. So if I was physically or mentally wasn't feeling like getting up or just couldn't get up, due to those limitations, I could just, not go into work. But I eventually had turned to my friend and started asking him more about, day trading. So we hopped on a couple of Zoom meetings, and he was explaining a couple of things. And so I said, you know what? He was asking me, he was like, yo, why don't you learn this together with me? And then maybe, that could help both of us, And so I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Let me think about it. And so I gave it some thought, and I decided to go ahead and start learning. So, plus I already had some money saved up from, like I said, I was working as a software engineer, earning a 6 figure salary every year. So I had money to invest. So that's when I decided to get started, and I'm glad I did because fast forward from that point, because now this is what 2025. So at what was it, March this year is when I took a shot at it, right? But now in 2024, I started looking for mentors. But just to give you a quick synopsis, in March is when I started to day trade, and I ended up making 20,000 that week, man. 20,000 that week. It felt crazy. Like I still couldn't comprehend it. It felt so crazy to make 20,000 in a week when I was basically making, that per month, like a little over 10K a month to equal, 6 figure salary. I was making like 100, mm, like 150 almost a year. So, but after taxes, it'll be like 90, 100, something like that, whatever, or 110, something crazy like that. But yeah, so to make 20,000 in a week, I mean, one trade was 8,900 in 8 minutes. So that's 9,000 in 8 minutes, man. It was just hard for me to wrap my head around that. Like you could even go on social media and see everybody posting these types of uh, gains, and it just doesn't seem real. And take it from me that actually experienced this, it still doesn't seem real. Like I'm still struggling to wrap my head around it. So 20,000, like how? Because let me explain it like this: growing up in the hood, in the projects, man, the influence, the heavy influence is the hustle. Drugs or boosting different things, products, right? Like clothes, shoes, whatever. But it's always the hustle. So you either scamming, you selling drugs, or boosting whatever. So it's or you just hustling people um, just to get a dollar. So that's the heavy influence because people like, ah man, it's too stagnant to go get a 9 to 5, like because they cap your pay. And then they make you work so hard, and then there's plus politics to actually get ahead in some many cases, right? Because if they don't like you, or if you're not the one that kind of want to chill out and hang out at work events and stuff like that, you just want to do your job and go home, then you get left out. So there's politics involved as well. So a lot of people in coming up where I grew up in Detroit, took that path. And but the part about that I didn't like is, one, I didn't like the moral aspect of it, like as far as the drugs, and I just thought like I just wouldn't want nobody stealing something I worked hard for. I wouldn't want nobody stealing something from me that I worked hard for. So I just didn't really feel like that was the right path to doing that to somebody else. So, and drug wise, I was like, man, I just can't see myself tearing up. the community. Like the fact is it tears up the community, it destroys people's lives. Unless you're selling trees. Now I'm okay with the trees. All right. But besides that, not the hard stuff, So I decided that, yeah, I decided to um try to find something else that was fast. A lot of people take that route because it's fast money. And I felt like back then that there had to be a legal way to make money just as fast. And pardon me, because like I meant to mention this in the beginning, like when I say this is raw and uncut, it's raw and uncut. Like I'm still in my sleepwear. This is what I wear to sleep. So I'm not. If I had to get dressed and get all fly to get in front of the camera, man, I just would not do it. Like I love fashion, but there's times where when I have these ideas, I just wouldn't pursue them because in my mind, I'm thinking about perfecting it first of all, and then having it to look a certain way. So you see the vision, you're seeing the finished product. I'm seeing the finished product. And then I'm just like, yo, that's so much work involved. I get exhausted just thinking about it. So it's just like a detractor, right? So I'm like, man, the best thing that I could do, understanding the myself is like, man, it's just best for me when I'm in the mood to do something, just go ahead and do it just as is. All right. So like they be selling them used vehicles, this is as is, right? You buying it as is. So this is how y'all getting it as is, right? Raw and uncut. And then eventually, I'll hire uh, the video editors to improve the overall aesthetics and everything, the visuals, the edits, and all of that good stuff. Because I've also started venturing into content creation as well. So I hired an entire team for that. That's currently working as we speak. So yeah, whole team, man, crazy. So that's why I said I'm focusing on the business, investing in creating a business as well as other investment vehicles such as real estate and day trading. So anyway, I just felt like there was a way to make money just as quickly as the illegal hustles. I just felt like it was just a matter of time before I found it. Now, obviously, growing up as a youngin, I'm 46 large now. Long time ago, you talking 30, 3 decades ago. So, man, it took me a minute, but I finally found what that is. I'm saying, man, 9,008 minutes. Come on, man. Who wouldn't take that? Like, listen, this ain't that investing isn't for the meek, right? It isn't for the faint of heart, man. It isn't for the scary. This is for the people who take risk. They understand, like they will learn the game to find an edge, right? To capitalize and succeed, right? And so same way in the hustle, when you in the hustle from the streets, people the ones that get into it, they see like the long game, they think in the long game, and they like, yo, all I need to do is make X to move me from position A to position B. You know what I mean? And they just looking at it like that. So they like, yo, I'm gonna just learn everything that I can, find the right connect, get fronted what I'm saying, the half of this or a brick of that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get going. Flip that into this, and I'm gonna just rinse and repeat. Stack my bread. Stay low key under the radar and keep it moving. You know, and man, went to find out, but look at what all you got to go through, right? You got to get, duck the law, what I'm saying? Stay away from law enforcement. You got to worry about your partner snitching on you or, ratting you out or getting hooked on drugs and slipping and getting caught slipping. You got to worry about getting robbed by the stick up kids. You know what I mean? Like you got to worry about all of these different obstacles and challenges, and that ain't easy, man. And I said, ain't no way in hell you gonna find me in somebody's prison. You know, I'm not going up against law enforcement. I'm not going up against the feds. I'm not doing that. So what I decided to do was, um, I'm like, yo, I gotta find something else. But now you fast forward to getting to day trading, 20,000 in a week, 9,000 in 8 minutes. It's like, yo, no standing out on no corners, right? No getting shot at, no weather elements, right? I'm not in the rain, sleet, or snow. I'm not running or getting chased by law enforcement or harassed by law enforcement. I'm in the comfort of my own home. I literally roll out the bed, you know what I mean, in my sleep clothes, click a button, make my money, and then I can go right back to bed if I want to. Wake up, go to the gym, do all kinds of stuff, run errands. I'm not stuck at a 9 to 5. You talk 9 minutes? 8 minutes? Yo, that's crazy. 9,008 minutes. Yo, that's crazy. And I thought that was gonna be my biggest win. I just couldn't even fathom that I would experience an even bigger win. So just recently, last Friday, I made 85,000 in one trade. One trade, 85,000. Come on, man. Like, how do you in one day? that's that's crazy. That shit is crazy to me, man. Like, it's crazy to even think about. Like, yo, where was this at? Where was this at? It's like everybody looking for that, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of hustle. And I could tell you, like, man, it's amazing. Like, I'm still trying to, I did it, I did it, but it still doesn't seem real. I imagine that's probably what, the entertainers and athletes feel like when they get that first check. They sign that contract and get that first check and deposit those funds. They like, yo, is this even real? you know, but that's how it felt like. And so when that happened, I started exploring the space, right? During, the beginning of 2024, started researching to understand the space, the trading space, right? Which area did I want to invest in? Futures, forex, or stock options? I ended up going with stock options. Um, yeah, I didn't know about the other ones like right off the top. I ended up learning about stock options first, so that's what I went with. Same way when I got started as a software engineer, first language I really came across was the C language, and then uh, JavaScript. And I ended up liking JavaScript more, so I decided to go with it because they said that was the wave, that was the future. That's what reports and research was showing. So a lot of jobs, was looking for JavaScript developers. So that's what I decided to do. So in the same way, um, I did the same thing. First thing was stock options, but what was important to becoming successful is to find a mentor. And this has been my philosophy, right? I found a mentor when I started investing in real estate. I found a mentor when I decided to become a software engineer, and I spent the money. Yo, like I spent the money. Why I'm making money, the reason why I'm making money is because I spent the money necessary to find the right person, the right person who understood the space that could teach me the game. And that's what I feel like is important. Like, I would always recommend people go do that, to find a mentor, to eliminate or shorten your learning curve. Because what's the point in bumping your head? Now, if you got the time and space and money, then yeah, feel free to go ahead and explore the space, because I feel like there's an opportunity to learn, in a new way, like not reinvent the wheel, but learn and use your creativity in a different way. You can still become creative and add your own, part to it, even if you take the mentor route. But, I'm just letting people know I see both sides of it, right? But if you got the time, you got the money, then yeah, go ahead, and go that route. But man, when otherwise, find a mentor first. So my first year as a software engineer, just really quick, I spent 25,000 that first year. So what I decided to do was I presented myself, I sold myself in the interview, got the gig. Soon as I got the gig, I had already did the research for what mentor I would use. And so I found this great mentor community that had a bunch of developers. So I spent 25,000 that first year on mentorship, right? Helping me understand how to navigate that space and solve certain problems. The second year I spent 15,000. And then after that, it started, to flow and make more sense to me. And so same thing in this space, man. I ended up spending a couple of $100 with one mentor, signed up for his Discord community. It was very, very inexpensive, only $10 a month. The value is a steal. It's a steal. And then I found a second mentor that likes to trade the stock that I wanted to focus on, which was Tesla. And I ended up paying $3,500 for his mentorship because I had won 20,000 using his strategy specifically after watching a couple of videos. So anyway, that was my point in saying that is to once I discovered that you can make money legally just as quickly as you can illegally from the illegal street hustles, man, I was sold. I was sold. What more can I say about that? What more can I say? So when I thought about the types of people, like the type of characteristics, the traits that are necessary to that causes people push and motivates people to go off into those risky, illegal, activities. It's the same over here with the legal parts, right? Like investing is not really it. It's easy. Is easy, to do systematically. It's just you follow the steps, boom, 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 and you done. It's like putting, stereo equipment or putting together, following the instructions to put certain products together. It's like that. But the way you become successful is it requires, very key ingredients like self-control, discipline, consistency, management, money management skills, and so on. And if you lack those, it's going to be very difficult. And a lot of new traders fail because they trying to chase after the money, not even understanding the mechanics of how this all works. How money management works, man. They trying to size up their positions before they even understand. Like, I don't get it. Like, I just see it and I'm just like, yo, y'all got a lot to learn. I'm new as a day trader investing in the day trading space, but I'm not new to managing money. I've been doing this for a long time since I was a youngin'. I've been good at managing money. Okay, because I always had money on me. You know what I mean? Like I always had money. You know what I'm saying? So even when I was homeless, there was one time when I was homeless, man. I had 4 racks cash on me. So like I'm not I may be like financially, like from a financial point of view, like broke. But it's not like I'm like dead broke, flat broke. Like I don't have no money, like to my name. Like 4,000 can get you. You flip that into eight, eight into 12, and so on. All you need is just something to start with. In the same way people would take 4 grand, buy them. What I'm saying, whether it's an ounce of something or a half of something or whatever. That's what they gonna do. That's what they're gonna do, and they're gonna flip that and grow that into something. So I came up around these hustlers, what I'm saying? So I understand like managing money. If you could take $1 and flip it to two, then you understand what I'm talking about. If you don't know how to take $1 and flip it to two, man, that's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna be hard for you. It's gonna be hard for you because there's fundamentals that you got to learn to be successful in this game as an investor. So, and a lot of people jump in it just because they see the money, and it is possible. Like I said, this is my largest trade yet in September, 85,000. I'm on track to make 100,000 this month. Ain't that crazy? That's crazy. In a month. When I made it, it took me as a software engineer, I was only making that in a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to make 85,000 in one trade, man, that's crazy to even wrap my head around. But it's the reality. And I'm showing broker statements, you know what I'm saying, to show people like just being 1000% transparent. Because um, the reason why I was describing this brief story is to talk about how I came up with the name Darth Trader, the Darth Trader show, TV show, right? Is because I looked at the elements that Darth Vader and the Sith would use to, harness that power, like I just mentioned. But they used it for evil, right? For destruction. But they would harness the fears, the doubts, the worries, the concerns, the uncertainties, and they would embrace that, right? And what did I say exactly? What was it? Yeah, so they use the power from fear, anger, and passion, but they channeled it for destructive, purposes. Whereas you can still use those, um, for good. And so you harness that raw energy to sharpen your focus, deepen your understanding, and fuel your evolution into, your fullest potential. And guess what? Like I said, I've been going through therapy for the entire year, starting in 2024. And that's part of therapy, right? Psychologists tell you to don't try to reject the emotions, but to accept them. Don't try to reject the thoughts, but to accept them and not judge them, accept them, learn and understand them, observe them, view them from an observer's point of view without judgment, accept it. And that's part of the process to coping, developing coping skills, right? And so that's what I looked at, and I just combined those elements and just thought about, that play, you know what I'm saying, like Darth Vader, Darth Trader. So I was like, yo, let me go ahead and let me do that because I love the Star Wars. Man, I love all that stuff, man. Star Wars, Star Trek, um, Marvel, DC. You know what I mean? Like, I love that stuff, man. I used to watch that stuff growing up, like Star Trek. That was my favorite show, man. I used to ask my parents if they let me sit down and watch Star Trek and eat my dinner in front of the TV. Man, that was the happiest moment. I can remember that to this day. Me and my sister would be sitting in front of the TV with our little dinners and everything, and the dinner tray or whatever, watching Star Trek. Man, that was it's crazy to even remember those times, but that's how I came up with the name. And so right now it's just a matter of like brainstorming the how to implement, create a plan, brainstorm a plan, and to implement to bring this into fruition, right? So what I see now, let's talk about what I see. When I came up with the reason for the concept for the show, the reason for the concept for the show is I was looking at the space, like I said, starting in 2024, and something stuck out to me. You know, I didn't even realize there was so many people that look like me in the space, right? To see people that look like me in this space already making money for years now. And I mean all ages, right? The youngins, the middle, the mature adults, the young adults, the mature adults, the 30s, the 40s, and then the elders like the 50s, 60s. I'm seeing all these people in this space, and I'm like, yo, that look like me. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. I wonder I wonder how many people realize that there's a lot of people in this involved in this, right? So it doesn't matter what race you are. When you find people in a space that's succeeding, right? You like, yo, I didn't. When you discover that, you like, man, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like what? How come this? Why there's so many people in this space, but nobody near me that's talking about this, right? So like I said, I just had the one friend who was in this space, and he hadn't even over the course of that decade, he hadn't achieved the success that I've achieved in even in a single year, man. Like he was saying he thought in his mindset, it to him it was about having enough money, right? Because I already had some money to invest. Because the more there is the that is part of that is true, right? Part of what he said is true. The more money you have, the more money you can make, right? So imagine if you got $1 million, you could sit that in a mutual fund somewhere, and make 18% or 15% or something like that, and live off of that. You know what I'm saying? Because you got it's so much money, right? So 1 million or greater, man, you can live off of that. All right. So part of that is true. But remember, I said if you know how to flip a dollar into two, you don't make that excuse, right? You don't make that excuse because you understand the fundamental aspect of um, flipping money. Okay, so making money, and so I was trying to explain to him. I'm like, yo, there was a point where I didn't have any money. So you can't fast forward to the middle of the timeline and say it's because it's this that I can do that. And I'm like, no, you got to go back to the beginning and understand the point. What was I doing, and what was my mentality in the beginning when I had no money. And so you got to go. For me, that was when I was a youngin', right? 5, 6 years of age. But by the time I understood how to get money from birthdays, Christmas, and so forth, man, I started stacking up the money because I realized the money was only coming once a year. I was like, yo, I gotta stack this. I gotta stack this because it doesn't come often enough. And so, because one point I was like, I had asked my parents, was like, when's my birthday? It's like, when's my birthday again? When I'm gonna get some more money? You know what I'm saying? And they like, oh, that's this. And then that's when I started, reading the calendar and stuff like that. It's like, dang, that's a long ways away. And so a person that understands that they not gonna, I understood that from a young age. So every check to me was when I'm thinking like check to check, I'm like, yo, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And it's hard for me to get ahead. So I'm gonna have to maneuver, what I'm saying, manage these expenses more effectively to, you know, get out of this deficit, and into the green, into the black, and out the red. And so that's what I've been focusing on as I got older. Obviously your expenses are growing and getting larger, and then there's inflation. So with that said, I was like, yo,